We go. Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and today we are contributing to the May the 4th weekend mini-con, hosted by the Open Hearth gaming community. If you don't know about the Open Hearth gaming community, please search Google and you will find us. We think we've got a great table culture for playing all kinds of games, so come join us. But I need to say something about May the 4th. This is a tribute to Rich Rogers. Rich has been playing Star Wars games using every system under the sun apart from a Star Wars system for years now. And he will tell you in a moment how many different games he's played with, if he can remember. And so this is a weekend that is in honor of Star Wars Saturdays. Rich, say hello and tell us something about your gaming life.
Hello. My gaming life is lovely because of folks like you. I do keep track of the different games that I have GM'd or played in set in Star Wars, and this weekend, this mini con is when I have reached the summit. Over 100 games played, different indie or small press RPGs played set in Star Wars, and it's all thanks to folks like you. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
Mark, say hello.
Hello, I'm Mark, he, them, and I've played in several of these Star Wars Saturday games. I'm looking forward to doing some more.
Stephen, say hello.
Hi, my name is Steven. My pronouns are he, him. I've been playing in Star Wars Saturdays for a while, and mostly I've been looking for Star Wars games, and actually traveled to conventions out of state to find a Star Wars game, and now I can find one on my living room couch. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Will?
Hi, my name's Will, and my pronouns are he, him, and I've played in quite a lot of Star Wars games, I think, with Rich. And I'm looking forward to, hit the streets, hit the Sith. Because I've not played in enough Hit the Streets, although I think that was my first ever Gauntlet series.
Yeah, thank you, Will. I should say that Hit the Street, Defend the Block is Rich's own game, which there's a strange incestuous nature to this session. There it is, that I have hacked for a Star Wars context. And just to give the original game a bit of a shout out, it is the superhero game that got me across the barrier I had around superhero games. Because I've never enjoyed running super games until I ran Hit the Streets, Defend the Block, because it's neat. It's neat. So I've messed with it, and we're going to set up some characters now. Now I will, I think, share a screen to do this, because somebody told me if I share a screen, then the recording gets to be in HD. I don't quite know why that would happen, but I'm prepared to go with it. So there is our sheet. Now Rich has already grabbed a slot. So if the other three of you want to grab one of those columns, I'll run you down the character creation process. So Will, I think you're in the far left. So in this game, you roll d6s to take action when there is something interesting to do. So that first roll on the keeper is the 2 dice you get simply for taking action. Then there is your Star Wars archetype. So if you'd like to examine the drop down there and maybe express a preference in terms of the archetype you'd like to play. Maybe I'll do a drop down just so people can see what they are. We have the naive youngster. You have to put at least 2 into your heart stat. The cynical daredevil, at least 2 into your feet stat. The smooth talker, at least 2 into your jaw stat. The always equipped, you have to put 2 into your tools stat. The unstoppable force, at least 2 into your hand stat. And the wise teacher, at least 2 into your head stat. So I'm going to start with Rich because we are playing in honor of the man. So Rich, do you have a? Yeah, I'm gonna milk this one today.
Go for it.
Have you a preference for your archetype?
Uh, I grabbed this picture, and I'm quite intrigued by it. It seems to me that person who's wearing that kind of armor is either always equipped or an unstoppable force. And I am always playing the heavy, so I'm going to go with always equipped, just something different.
Okay. Anyone else got a preference? I'll do it in the order I can see you, Mark. What about you?
Yeah, if you're not going to take Unstoppable Force, I think I will. I've had a Weequay bounty hunter show up in 2 games already, so I think I'm going to play them. Whoever that might be.
Saves you looking for another picture.
Yeah.
Stephen, what about you?
I think I'm going to play the naive youngster.
Oh, might it be a naive young Jawa? I wonder. Who knows? Will, what about you?
That leaves the cynical daredevil, the smooth talker, and the wise teacher, I believe, right? And
Yep.
I think I will go with. I'll just quickly refresh myself on what each of those, feat does, because obviously I don't have super speed in this game.
Yeah, no, feat is speed, agility. It's not strength. Hands is strength and hitting power. Heart is, heart.
Yeah. And head is obviously wisdom, intelligence, etc. I will go with I think the smooth talker. Why not?
Okay. Now the stats, it says in very small letters, now I come to look at it from here, you get 2 of these stats at 3, 2 at 2, and 2 at 1. You have to put whichever one it says in your archetype, you have to put that at least 2. So, that's a good place to start and then work outwards. Okay, that looks like Will is sorted. So is Mark. So is Rich. And if we're settling on that, so is Stephen. Great, thank you. The next one is the force is with you when you act as another drop down. And this time I'll come to Rich last because it just doesn't seem fair. I'll go in the other order this time. So Will, do you want to choose when the force is with you when you act as a what?
When I act as an agent would be like a spy, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with agent.
Okay. Stephen, what about you?
I'm gonna go with Force Adept.
Okay. Mark, what about you?
I'm going with Bounty Hunter.
Fair enough. And Rich?
Well, that leaves for me the tech since I started off with tools, so I'll just keep going.
Okay. Then I think I'll stop the share now because we'll have got our money's worth out of the HD. The link to the dice room is in the character keeper on the safety and links tab. Because the thing we need to do next, it is possible you will develop a second when the force is with you, but you'd have to earn quite a lot of XP to do that. So that's why it's grayed out. So Spark, start with D6 plus 1d6. So let me go back to the order. Let me go to Mark first. Do you want to find the character keeper, the dice room, and roll 1d6 and add 6 to it? Because that is your starting Spark.
1d6 plus 6.
And spark is that thing you spend to how would you put this? To push yourself, to help other people, to do lots of stuff that's useful. It's also the surrogate for your general condition. So when spark drops too low, you are down, and if it drops further, you are out until you can do something else. Okay. What about Stephen? 1d6 plus 6.
10.
10. That's a good start. Rich, what about you?
7.
That looks like a 7. Middle of the road. And last but not least, Will. Oh, can you use...
I will be able to in a second, but can you just roll for me while
I will. I'll roll 1d6. Oh, so there we are. That's a 5 plus 6 is 11.
Good job I got you to roll for that for me, Alan.
Oh, yeah, made all the difference. And then, you know, your bio, a bit about you.
Could we just establish Star Wars timeline?
Oh, sorry. Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
The pitch for this said that, well, I think I'll read the pitch to you, actually. I think I did. It is a long time in a galaxy far, far away. The Rebel Alliance started attacking the Empire several years ago, but Emperor Palpatine still seems in full control. So we are during the time of the original trilogy. My guess is somewhere about the second. You know, I also think with the third one, the Empire is a bit set back on its heels by then. So no, the Empire is in ascendancy. So we're in the first or second movie times. Who knows what's going on with the Death Star? You are a different set of heroes that sadly did not make the cut when they came to make a movie some decades later. So yeah, that's that. And what it says here, as part of his intention to ensure Sith dominance, he has dispatched agents to all corners of the galaxy in search of technology with which to destroy the rebellion and artifacts with which to harness the Force and give the Sith enduring power over the fate of the galaxy. Only our heroes stand in his way. Yeah. So the tone of this is very much, you know, we've got Sith and the dark side. So the tone of this is very much like the first trilogy, I think. Maybe with that edge of shadow and dark that creeps in with Rogue One, I always think. So we are playing with safety tools. We're playing with lines and veils. And I put some starting lines and veils in. Feel free to up a veil into a line if you prefer it, or to add any veils or lines. And there are some to write in. We're playing with the X card because you never know. Best way to show the X card, show it to me. Put it in the text, otherwise in the chat. But I tend to be looking at your faces, so I may not notice. If somebody else notices it down there, X card comes up, I'll stop. We'll rewind a bit and play forward around whatever has discomforted you. And I will stress, folks, if you don't play the X card when something comes up, that doesn't mean you can't play it later if it comes up again, okay? It is there for use at any point. You don't need to tell me why that's something that discomforts you. It just does. And it can be something, you know, from the outside can seem trivial. I did have somebody once pull an X card when I named an NPC after, I think, their brother-in-law. And then that NPC began to do some bad things. And they said, can we just change their name? So, you know, whatever. It is there to cover for the gaps that lines and veils can never predict. And it's also a good way, I think, to just head us off if you're worried we're approaching a line or a veil, or particularly a line. We're also playing with the open door. You know, I hope we hit the spot today, but if stuff comes up in life, go deal with it. We'd like to have you come back or know you're coming back, but, you know, if stuff happens, stuff happens. And of course, if this turns out not to be fun, for goodness sake, don't waste the rest of your day. You know, the open door is there to be used. And we're also playing using the Open Hearth Code of Conduct, which I sometimes summarize as don't be a dick. But, you know, I don't believe that's going to be a problem today, because I think we all know each other well enough. So, sorry, Will, thanks for the prompt. We have our characters. I hope you're checking out the lines and veils. We have lines on sexual assault and violence, cannibalism as a positive, torture by the PCs, domestic violence, death or endangerment of children, betrayal between PCs or violent conflict between PCs, because Star Wars, suicide or peril to pregnant women or infants. And then a range of, Cthulhu and cosmic horror shouldn't crop up, I think. Racism, homophobia, sexism, misogyny, and the fascist philosophy, because of course the Empire is a fascist state, but any sense of that as a positive. We are lying, we are veiling, torture by NPCs, consensual sex and making out, and an ask first so far on romance between PCs and NPCs and midichlorians. I don't expect midichlorians to come up, but you never know your luck. Who can say? So feel free to add to that, and if there's something you're particularly interested in, pop that in as well. You will have a chance to shape our episodes, so that's probably where you'll put what you want to come up. So, yes, we were talking about bios. So, yeah, Will, do you want to tell us something about your character?
Yeah. So Garik is we're in the middle of the rebellion. So Garik is a relatively new member of rebellion intelligence. He is a spy. He has he's from Coruscant, and he's a firm believer in the cause, despite coming from a family that's benefited quite well from the Empire. But he sees how other people haven't, and so he's up until now been quite taking a background, like a soft role in terms of intel and making associations and everything. But he's been told by his handlers that now it's time to hit the ground, get some field work, and take a role in, because the Galactic Civil War is heating up every day. So there's not time for the Cold War anymore. It's going to go hot.
I know you're an analyst, Jack, but I need you in the field.
Exactly, yeah.
Fine, thank you. Mark, tell us a bit about Urto Gar.
Yeah, Urto has been a bounty hunter for some time, freelanced as a guard every now and then. He actually was hired to hunt Jedi during the Purge. Did not wind up actually doing that, and has decided that the Empire does not pay well enough, and also they're kind of dicks, so we're not going to do that. All in on the rebellion.
Fine. Oh, that's interesting. Rich, tell us about, Katakat Ekop.
Katakat is a Nautolon. They are an aquatic species. He was born and raised on their home planet of Gliansalem, but the Anselmi, and I don't know if this is actual Star Trek lore. Luckily, Cody isn't here to tell me.
Did you just say Star Trek?
Oh my lord! Okay, I'll just
and it's recorded for posterity. It'll always be there. It'll always
oh my
be
goodness! I'm the worst. Okay, I don't know if this is Star Wars lore. Wow, where was my brain? But I like the idea of the Anselmi having allied themselves with the Empire, and the Nautolans were kind of cornered and pushed to the side, and in the Star Wars story about Star Wars, and so he and his family moved out into a flotilla, and he was raised on this kind of vagabond fleet that has now thrown its way towards the rebellion. That's why he's a techie.
I like that. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Stephen, tell us about Veth Oddriss, or Oddriss. Well, you tell me.
Yeah, I think it's Oddriss. And Veth is a young mechanic that was in the rebellion. Her planet was subjugated during the Empire times, and now, and she was working on some stuff whenever one of the generals walked by, pointed her out, pulled her aside, and started giving her some special training. She's still very youthful, but doesn't have really much of an idea about, the horrors of war other than what people have told her. She hasn't seen it yet.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you. So these are our characters then. Let's see what, because we're going to start in media res. So could I ask you to check out the episodes tabs, folks? So we're going to start in the middle of a mission. I hope in the 3 hours we've got, we'll have time to tie up this one and then move on to a second episode, a climactic one. The chance of getting to 3 in 3 hours is tiny. So I'm going to ask you a set of questions. Who have I not started with? I have not started with you, Stephen. Oh, and while I'm at it, can you edit your Zoom windows to show character names, please? So Stephen, Veth, what's at the center of this episode? What do you need to achieve at this episode? There's a set of drop downs there. Take your pick.
Someone is at risk because of Imperial action. Save them.
Fine, fine. So that is the mission, or the mission you will be embarked upon, because we're going to start media res. Let me go next to, hang on, which order am I going in? I've lost track. So Stephen, let me go all the way around to Will. Will, the second question. In the first episode, it's always unknowing dupes manipulated by the Sith conspiracy. So that's the significant risk that you're facing. But where's the principal location? Where do we want to first come across Garik?
I mean, it's either got to be a dangerous secret facility or a teeming city, I think. I think someone's at risk because of Imperial action, save them. We're either infiltrating a secret facility and rescuing someone like Rogue One, or murdering them, as the case may be in Rogue One, or the teeming city where somebody, I think a teeming city is, selfishly as a jaw, it gives you much more opportunity to talk to people if you're in a place where there are people.
Indeed, there are. Let me come next to Mark. What's the local climate?
It is hot.
Okay, so hot. And finally, what's the local terrain, Rich? So is this a city on the flat? Is this a city in mountains? What are you feeling?
I love the idea of mountains, that there's all these buildings that are kind of built into slopes of mountains.
Fine, fine. Let me come back round. Let me bounce back then. So this time, Rich, tell us about a place you want to be part of the narrative. So give me some kind of location in this teeming city that's going to be kind of central to our in media res episode. Rich, you thinking deep?
I am thinking deep. I think a place I would like to be part of the narrative is a droid manufacturing, like a factory.
Fine. Put that in that slot. Let me go then to, again, I've lost track now. Mark. Tell us about someone you want to be part of the narrative. Now, if you've got a name, that's great, but a kind of character you want to be part of the narrative.
Maybe like a labor organizer type of guy at the factory.
Okay.
Ugnaught, maybe. Yeah,
labor organizer at the factory. That works for me. Then where did I go after that? I think Will, the next question is, tell us about someone else you want to be part of the narrative.
Someone else we want to be part of the narrative.
Yeah.
I think a dangerous Doug Assassin.
Put that in. Put that in. Dangerous assassin. And Stephen, that leaves me a question for you, which is where do we find, we're in media res, just frame the scene for me.
We are on a small fighter, and there is a it's not a blockade of the planet that we're going to, but there is a contingent of other enemy fighters, and we're being chased.
Okay, we kick off with a TIE fighter chase. Love it. So a small insurgent craft. Who's best placed to pilot here? He said, looking at our techie.
Gotta be me. I
Yeah.
have to be the pilot, right?
Yeah,
Don't
I
even
mean,
need goggles. Look at these eyes.
what is a spaceship? It is not a glorified tool.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
now the rules are summarized on the rules tab. I'm expecting Rich to be familiar with these, but the way this works is that you build up a dice pool. So in the case of our Nautolon pilot, you get 2 dice for taking action. Is this an equipped? Is there something about the ship that makes it particularly good at this kind of action?
Yeah, this is my precious baby that we're flying. It would be terrible if something horrible happened to it.
So
I
I'm
think
going to
yeah,
I'm
it's
going to
just
give
called
you
the
1
Screaming
dice.
Billy. You're going to give me 1 die? Awesome. So
For
the Screaming Billy is the name of our I think because I was on the IKEA page for a Billy bookshelf, and therefore the Screaming Billy is born. And are you using tools,
you are
right?
using
ships
2,
and
which
tools?
gives you another 3, so you're at 6 dice. And then the force will be with you when you act as a tech. So for that, you are going to get an extra 2 dice. So you're only 8 dice.
8 dice. What is
8
the
dice.
difficulty to this
I
thing?
think if we let's start gentle, shall we? I think that there's a bushel of TIE fighters on your tail. Thank you, Stephen, for that. I think that the difficulty is, I'm going to make the difficulty 4 at this point.
Difficulty of 4? Okay. I mean,
So
that's
you
got a
need
pretty
4
good
successes with 8 dice.
4 successes, and I'm looking for 4s, 5s, and 6s, correct?
You are.
I am just crazy enough to spend 1 spark to
Okay.
give me a 9th die. And I'm piloting, so here it comes. Wow, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4s
6
or better.
successes.
Yes.
That's pretty good. And 1, which is an oof.
Oh.
So do you want to tell me what the nature of the oof is here? The oof for our viewers is when there is a cost to this success.
Okay. So I think the cost to the success is it's a bushel of TIE fighters. So I think we take some shots, right? I'm trying to twist around, and I'm used to being underwater. So what do I care about 0G? Maybe we get tossed around a little bit, and we take a couple of shots, but we lose the long range radar. It explodes on the side, and long range communications are now out. That's our oof.
I like that. Who's in one of the 2 turrets? Yeah, Urto is in one of the 2 turrets. So Urto, let's see. Let's build the dice pool. So 2 for taking action. Unstoppable force. Unless you can sell it to me, I'm not seeing it. Unstoppable force seems like in your face rather than,
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just like laying down as much blaster fire as possible. That's
Yeah. So which stat do you think applies here?
not hands. either tools or head.
I'd go tools, head, or feet actually for the kind of capacity to keep this thing moving. So take which one?
I'm gonna go with head because it's more of a like. There's so many. It's a tactical thing I need to keep track of.
Fine, that's 5 dice. Bounty hunter.
I don't know if I'm hunting right now. It's just
No, it feels like we'd need to have you on the trail, wouldn't we? So I think you're looking at 5 dice. There are 4 ties out there. So at the minute, the difficulty is only 2. Because
I'm just gonna go with the 5.
The barrel is full of fish.
Yeah.
You want to spend any spark to get any more dice?
I don't think so. We'll just see how this goes.
Or there's an option to ask one of the other players if they want to put any spark in to make things right, if they can justify where that would come from. So I will just pause a moment while I look at Garik.
I'll put a spark in. Garik will be like, as we sweat, holding on to the side, and he'll lean in and he'll say, right there, left side of the port, aim for there. That's the weak point on this model.
Oh, the ship has a blind spot. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Looking for 2 successes and all those dice to roll.
There are 3 and an oof.
3 and an oof. That wasn't as much of a headroom as I expected, to be honest. So, TIE fighter blown out of the sky. What's the nature of the oof here, Urto?
I think I am laying down so much fire that the turret overheats and the guns are inoperable for a while.
I like that. Fine. Who's in the other turret?
I am.
Yeah. So Veth. Let's build a dice. 2 dice. Naive youngster, does that apply here?
I don't think so. No.
What about which stat works for you here?
Let's see. I think I'm going to use head because I'm thinking a lot about where they're going to be and what their flight pattern is.
I like that. That's 5 dice. Now the Force Adept. Does that play here?
I'm going to say yes because they're moving so fast. This is something that only a trained person could usually do.
So, just because I think we need to just tease out a little about this, your connection to the Force here. How does your connection to the Force play into this? What do we see on screen? What do we sense from you?
So this is quicker reflexes and being able to aim. I think that as soon as Urto took out the one TIE fighter, that was one I was aiming for, and it's an immediate switch. The targeting computer that we see on screen is the little red thing with the little bars and everything. And all of a sudden it's a switch and it just kind of lines up very quickly. It looks like it was really lucky, but that's really the Force.
Do you want to spend any spark? Because you are looking for 3 successes because there's fewer targets now.
Yeah, I'm with all these older people and I really want to impress them, so I'll spend 1 spark. Okay,
you're rolling 8 dice. I will just pause in case there's an option for everybody else to step up and explain. Everybody else is kind of busy, to be honest. So I think it's down to you and your 8 dice. So 8 dice looking for 3 successes. Roll them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 oops.
Ooh, right. So I think with that level of success, I'm going to take out 2 TIE fighters. Because that would fit with your Force targeting. But 2 oofs. Now, how do these oofs play in here? Is this damage to you or to the ship? Is the cost to you or to the ship all 1 to each?
Yeah. So I take out, what the way this looks on screen is I take out one of the TIE fighters and I yell, in excitement. And someone yells back, "Don't get cocky." And that's whenever I swing the turret around and I blow apart our large range antenna. And then I hit the other one.
Fine.
Because I'm not trained to handle ship, turrets. I'm like, why did that get in my way?
Yeah, it's a stupid design feature. on this really, the souped up ship that Katakat has provided. And then the remaining tie peels away and disappears towards that moon over there. I think that probably we know the clock is ticking, because that tie didn't come from nowhere. I'm going to cut to on the ground now. Who's done the preliminary, scoping out survey of this factory, this droid factory? Garik would seem logical. So Garik, tell me something about what we see. We've got this teeming city. We've got mountains where these skyscrapers are built into the sides of these mountains and hills. We've got some of the hills are just glassed in. Tell me something, Garik.
We see, I imagine there's like wind sweeping across the gantries and things of the city that's built quite vertically across it all. And there's this huge droid factory sort of like squatted in the middle of blocks rising around it, like how industrial housing, and then like tiers of different stuff. And as the camera pans and zooms through all of it, you come to like an open like food marketplace where there's a bunch of workers from the factory getting off the hover bus and coming back in for their lunch shift. And Garik is with a cloak over like one shoulder and the cowl up, sat sliding credits across the table, conversing, and then as he points at like a data pad with things, and these workers are telling, he's like, in exchange for beer and money and food and stuff like that, they're telling him all about, this ship, this door here, this it's been real bad since the Empire took over, that kind of thing. So he's getting more of the sort of human side of the recon.
Fine. And one of these people, I think, is our labor organizer, Ugnaught. Mark, what is Ugnaught? Because all these workers climb off their buses, they head in to get a meal at the end of their shift, and Ugnaught is there. What's going on in this large kind of refractory cafeteria? It's in the city. It's not in the factory. We're not in the factory.
Yeah, I think he's got he's kind of got a table of other factory workers around him. You can see him kind of like pointedly like making emphatic statements about something to them. Can't really overhear what it is, and like some are nodding, some are grumbling, but yeah, the Ugnaught definitely like telling him how it is.
Okay.
I'll find a name.
Katakat, what so we've got a labor organizer, we've got this kind of informal labor meeting going on, and people, the workers are clearly a bit angry about their working conditions, whatever else. So what's Katakat doing or done to set up either some kind of, I don't know, surveillance and protection around this guy, or what? I'm just curious. There's a technical component to this.
I think Katakat has a couple of Imperial probe droid looking droids that are keeping watch, and there's an Imperial presence here, of course, because this is the rise, like this is them striking back. So trying to keep an eye on any Imperial entanglements coming towards the Union organizers.
Okay. So I think what's shaping up here is that someone is at risk because of Imperial action. That sounds like our labor organizer to me. Sorry, I've got a name for him now, Gam Zagno. And Katakat has set up a kind of surveillance net, for want of a better word, using these. What's Veth doing in this context, in this scene, all around it?
Veth, I think, has been able to get a job working on the droids since she has experience with, mechanics and stuff. But she's so young, I think they've put her to carrying things around, like taking tools to people and stuff like that. And if it weren't for her expertise in being able to work on, mechanics, they would have just kicked her out. But I think she's sitting at one of the tables with some other workers.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious because I've just noticed that her tools is 1. So I'm just curious how her work is being assessed. So I think difficulty is 4 here. 2 dice to start with. Naive youngster. How does that play into avoiding supervision or appearing to do better than she is?
So the way that I see her ability to work on ships and droids and things like that is she feels a way around. Most people think about how they put things together and say, this is the connection that belongs. And she says, well, this feels right. So I think that is probably heart.
I think that's stretching it. I think
Okay.
as someone looking in, that tools 1 seems to me to be a point for me to push on. So I'm going to push you in that tools.
Okay.
So 2, I'll give you the naive youngster on the grounds that, people cut her some slack because she's young. But I give you 1 for tools. And Force adept. I don't know. Maybe that's where the benefit comes from.
Okay.
So that's 7 dice. Difficulty is 4.
Count the dice again just to make sure, because I counted 6.
Okay, 2.
2
plus naive youngster 1. Yeah, 6. 6
okay,
looking
6.
for 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't, she doesn't think this is that important. She's naive. So I'm going to roll my 6d6 and see what happens. Oh, that's 2 successes and 3 oofs.
Well, I'm just gonna go with this one. A foreman escorted by 2 security comes into the cafeteria and says, "You, yeah, you," points at you. "What the hell do you think you're doing about this?" And he waves some piece of machinery and storms across the security. "Take her. She's a saboteur." Does that precipitate anything? Let me start with Garik as our cool agent.
I lean in to Gam Zagno and I say, "Look, we're here to help you out. We're here to help, but one of our agents is, I'm going to need your people to run interference. Okay?"
Well, I think he's going to need a bit of convincing here, because I mean, this is your first approach to him. He doesn't even know he's in danger yet. So, so let's build a dice pool and see how that goes. What am I looking at here? I think 2 to take action. Smooth talker, absolutely on the money. Jaw, another 3. You're an agent, so I think you're used to running, stuff like this. I'm going to give you 8 dice. But he doesn't know whether to trust you or not. So I'm going to look for 5 successes.
Okay. I mean, it's a pretty big... I was hoping to get that initial persuasion roll in there before I give him a challenge. But
yeah. His attention's on one of his workers. One of his people is being victimized over there.
Yeah. Well,
I will be feeding I've got an algorithm for persuasive words, and I'm feeding Garik ideas.
Would you like to back that up with some spark, Katakat?
I would. How much spike can I spend? Is it 1? Can I spend lots?
You can spend as much as you like. You can drive it down.
I'm giving you 2 spark.
Oh, what about that?
And can I spend spark?
Yeah, of course you can. As long as you can keep track of how many dice you've got, because I've lost it already.
We were at 10 with Rich's, and we're now at 11 with mine. So the odds.
I'm just desperately hanging on to these fingers for the difficulty.
Yeah, and I think that part of like what Katakat's feeding me is not just this algorithm and stuff, but it's like been fed with like the local holonet of like
Mhm.
like travesties that have been inflicted upon the workers,
Ooh,
buzzwords.
yeah.
So
Nice,
like
nice.
you don't want this to be like what happened on peak 589. Like if we don't get to you soon, then but if we show some force like you did back on Aris 5, then it'll be fine. Okay, so I'll roll my 11 die.
Ooh. I do look forward one day to running this game face to face with huge buckets of die.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone wants to do that, and then they have to count them after you've rolled it, which is nice. So what's the success again? I apologize, I've forgotten. Everything 5. I have 2 5s and a 6 and 1 1. That's it, really.
So what's the nature of the oof here?
The oof. I think the oof is that. I think the oof is that he's. And the youth is that the Imperials, start brandishing their blasters.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
starting to get really physical. Not blasters, actually shock sticks. Like really.
Yeah, makes sense. So as one of the foreman grabs Veth by the back of the shirt, seeks to drag her away from the table. The rest of the workers are getting up and threatening them, and then shock sticks come out. Katakat, what do you do when you pick up a blaster powering up on your sensor net?
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know my sensor net could tell me that. Oh, it appears someone has a blaster. Everyone, be advised. Wait, Garik, is that you?
A blaster? It's one of the Imperials.
Urto, what do you do?
Am I in there with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you are now. Even if you were just followed in those two security and the foreman.
Yeah. Katakat, can you pinpoint it?
Can you, Katakat?
I would like to try.
Yeah, let's do that. So, as you say, it's on the edge of what your sensor net can do. So I think difficulty is 4, but I think that this is 2 plus you're always equipped because you've got stuff other people don't have. So that's 3. I think it's tools getting you to 6. This is definitely tech, because so you're on 8, looking for
All
4
the tech.
successes.
4
I'll
successes.
throw a spark in there for you.
Oh, yay.
Triangulate for you. Get another die.
Cool. And because we're rolling a lot of dice, just a quick die website reminder, there is a control line at the top. You can just type in number D6, hit enter, and it'll roll all the dice. You don't have to click a whole bunch of buttons. Just a reminder. I'm rolling 96 real fast. And I shouldn't have done that because oh, wait, no, it is enough. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 successes. Thanks for that spark. It saved me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no oofs. It's come on at the other end of someone's come in through the back and they're powering up blaster. Urto, what do you do with that information?
I'm going to get over there and tackle them.
Fine.
Before they can draw.
Because I think that is when our dangerous assassin, Nokwas Takis, emerges from the shadows at the back of the cafeteria, drawing a bead on the back of our labor organizer. When you say tackle, do you mean literally tackle?
I mean, yeah, like shoulder into him, knock him against the wall, knock his blaster out of his hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's build a dice pool. So 2 for just taking action. Definitely an unstoppable force at play here. I go with hands or feet.
I want to do hands, but I think it's going to be feet because I've got to cross some area before.
Yeah.
You there?
So that's 5. And I think this is a target. So I think Bounty Hunter plays here. I think difficulty just to tackle him, just to hit him at pace, is only 3.
Okay.
So
does that include knocking his blaster out of his hands?
Well, let's see how many successes versus how many oofs you have.
Cool. I'm happy to roll 8 over 3. That looks great. 8d6. Ooh, 1, 2, 3. Just did
Oh
it with an
no!
oof.
Wow.
Just made it.
And one oof. Yeah, I think that oof is that's you do kind of push him off target, but you take a little bit of the side swipe. So
Does his blaster go off maybe?
I think his blaster goes off
Yeah.
and just scores you a little.
Mhm.
So you take one spark of harm
Yeah.
in that circumstance for that oof, I think. But there's a melee at the back. Veth, this is all getting a bit nasty. The foreman has you, and he's got the two security guys in front of him saying, "Stop them! Stop them! Stop them!" What do you do, Veth?
Oh yeah, I run away. So I just want to pull loose from the guy and take off. And my intention here is to get away, but let's see how it looks on screen. There might be a distraction involved. Yeah.
Okay, so two to take action. Naive youngster, he's not expecting you to try and run away. He thinks that you're under his thumb, so you get one for that. And then is this feet?
Probably feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So slipperiness.
Yeah.
That gets you to 5.
Yeah.
Does the force play into this? Is there any kind of
So let me talk a little bit of where I'm seeing the force in here. I'm seeing it more as a luck stat than I am of, I'm going to pick things up and move them. So this depends in the middle of a brawl, how lucky do I get, right? I think that could work both ways. If you're interested, at some point you could say, oh, you have bad luck. Someone else has given you bad luck, and I'll take that as a negative too. So yeah, I think that it depends on how lucky I get running through the blaster fire.
Fine. So I'm going to give you the 7. I think difficulty here would be quite high if he wasn't so distracted. So I think difficulty is 3. 3 successes using 7 dice.
And I'll spend a spark. We subtract a spark every time we get an oof. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, oops, I rolled 7. I think I've got one more, but that's okay. That's a lot of successes and
that's
one
a
oof.
lot of successes and one oof. So, what does that oof look like?
I think what it looks like is, I go running and I get behind one of the tables. The tables have kind of been flipped, and there's a tray of food that's behind there. And where I get on there, it slides. I trip and I fall, and I slide and tumble into some of the workers that are there who go down like bowling pits. Right? So there's this whole mass of everybody there in a big pile.
Garik, what about you? You've seen Urto take off. Katakat located the threat. What are you going to do, Garik? You're kind of close to our labor organizer.
I'm going to grab hold of him and say, "Look, come with me if you want to live."
I have to get you the bunker, Mr. President. No, let's see how that goes. I think that 2 to take action. I think you do need to convince him here because this is all getting a little bit out of control. Because blaster fire just went kind of over his head from behind him, and that's not usually what's happened so far when they've been organizing. I think jaw to convince him or feet to get him through the mess. Take your pick.
Jaw to convince him. I'm better at jaw. So.
Okay. Agent. I might give you agent on the grounds that personal protection is part of the training program. So we've got 8 dice, but because there is now, particularly given that we've now got people falling over and there's all kind of hell breaking loose, to a side exit, I'm going to make the difficulty 4.
Well, then I will spend a spark. Which goes me up to...
I will also spend a spark to help you.
Because you can make the distraction even more.
Exactly.
You mark XP then, Stephen, which is a great feature of the system. Props to whoever designed it. And
that is an Alun tweak that I adore and will be adopting.
Oh, okay. Even better. I take it back then. That is 4 pows, 2 oofs.
Fine. What nature of the oofs here? that are going to sap your spark?
I think it is that as we are pushing through, he nods and goes, "Oh yes, sir, we will follow you," in that Ugnaught sort of fashion. He goes up, and as we're breaking through, and suddenly like a security guard comes out of bursts through the pile, and whacks with a shock stick, and Garik barely gets a hand up. Spark burns him, and then kicks him over the railing, and he goes flying over. But yeah, he's Cluck is scorched and singed from that spark.
Ah!
Yeah, Wilhelm scream.
Katakat, what's the extraction plan here?
Oh, wow, the extraction plan. I think I've got to hijack a speeder because that's the only way we can get out of here fast enough.
Hijack the speeder. Okay, so are you outside the side door waiting for Garik to emerge with this?
I'm always there and ready. I'm always prepared. Yes,
because you're always equipped. It's a thing. Urto, you've got this guy under you, and he's struggling to get the blaster into your face. What do we see you doing?
If I'm on top of him, I think I have to headbutt him then.
Yeah, and that Weequay Browridge really plays here, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does.
I speak as a Browridge person. So let's have you see if you can just take him down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 to take action. You are an unstoppable force. This is using hands.
Sure is.
He is your target. 8 dice. I think difficulty here is only 3 because you're on top of him. For God's sake.
2, 4 hands, 7. I think it's 9.
9. You're quite right.
Yeah. Cool. 9 on 3 is totally good for me. 96. Yeah, so many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes and 1 oof.
What is the nature of that oof?
I think because he didn't see who tackled him before. I think the oof is that as I'm rearing back to get him, he clocks me and he recognizes me and he's going to be trouble in the future.
Okay, we have a recurring villain conceivably. Okay, and then head for the side door too.
Yeah.
And Veth, get up off your tray and head for the speeder.
Right. I think I'm headed for the side door, and that tray slides out from underneath me, and I think we see on screen it clocks somebody as I go out the door, and there's Katakat, with starting to hotwire the speeder.
Fine. Garik piles in with I've forgotten his name, our labor organizer. Katakat's revving the engine and then Urto dives over the side, and you're away, Katakat.
Wow, that went way better than the last one.
Oh,
what?
No. Just by the by, gaining experience or refreshing spark, a killer one-liner or banter. If during the course of an episode you deliver an awesome one-liner or banter with another hero, gain 1 spark. Thank you, Katakat.
Nice.
And that, I think, is where we'll end that episode. It is 3 minutes past the hour, so it's a good time for a break. Can I suggest we have quite a long one because I want to make a cup of tea? Can we be back in our seats at 1/4 the hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pause recording.
I will.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay, we return after our commercial break. Garik, where have you taken our labor organizer as a place of safety?
I think it is a rebel safe house that we've maintained, and I think it is a cargo container, a great like we have on cargo ships, but normally attached to a tug and rocketed off into space and with anti-gravity lifters and something, but it's been kind of left derelict for a while supposedly, but then when you open it, it's stockpiled with back-to-packs and stuff like that.
I'd go so far as to say that maybe this is some kind of dumping ground for old containers. So there's, you know, a jumble of containers, and one of them is the safe house.
In a wrecking yard, in a dumping yard run by Jawas, of course.
Of course, of course. Katakat, where have you stashed the ship in this, you know, great kind of landfill come waste site?
In plain sight. The Screaming Billy, she looks like maybe she's been patched together from a bunch of other ships and might look trashy.
Oh,
but I did throw some things on top, just a little, like a bucket full,
and let one of the landing struts just relax a little bit, so she's slightly canted, maybe. Yeah, okay.
And thanks to Veth, we already have several scoring marks, and we lost our long range communicator due to Veth. So yeah, we look like junk. Thanks a lot.
And you saved him. What information does he have, folks, that is vital to the rebellion? Or what do you need him to do for the rebellion? Let's go to Urto. What do you think? Why was it important that you were there today, I guess, is what I'm coming down to.
That's a great question. He was the factory is producing droids that will be used in an operation by the Sith.
Okay, so these battle droids.
Yeah, I think they're not supposed to be battle droids, but they are in fact making battle droids.
Being refitted. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think he uncovered some information about that. So he was being taken out.
And what he tells you is that a huge consignment were conveyed off planet a matter of days ago. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I've got two places to go next. One is I want to give you a bit of downtime if you want it in this teeming city. And then I want to frame our episode 2, which is either going to pursue things here or pursue things where those droids have been shipped. The choice will come down to you lot. Yeah. So I think probably we'll go with downtime first, because I want to give each of you a chance or two to refresh some spark before we move on. But I need to first I need to do the gaining XP first. So during an episode, gain +1 experience every time you protect an innocent. So all 4 of you get an XP each for that, no question, because you all acted to protect him. Spend spark to support another hero. So some of you will have got that. I think 2 or 3 of you certainly. I remember doing that. At the end of an episode, the GM will ask if the team confronted a known agent of the Empire. Yes, you did, because that assassin didn't come out of thin air. So everybody gets an XP for that. And defeated a known agent of the Empire. Yes, everybody gets an XP for that. His mission was not a success. So that gives each of you a small pool of XP that you can consider spending. You can increase a stat by 1 at the cost of present value times 3 XP, which is probably quite steep. Reveal a second thing at which you are awesome. So what is the second thing that we will see the Force being with you on is what you do. That costs 10 XP, but that might be well outside the current. But if you reach 10 XP in an episode and you want to spend it in episode, that's fine by me. So if you suddenly reveal that you are something else wondrous, then fine and dandy. So you've got some XP to think about, but then refreshing spark. Exemplifying the light side, if during the course of an episode you go out of your way to do to help someone in the scene or frame a scene so you do so, I think, folks, I'd like each of you to make this roll, because I think, again, each of you went out of your way to help our labor organizer. So to do this, take action plus heart. So it's a straightforward 2 dice plus whatever your heart stat is. So let me start with Veth. Your heart is at 3, I think. So you're rolling 5 dice.
Okay.
And every success earns you a spark back.
I got 1 spark.
Okay, 1 spark. And oofs, there's a cost to you. So what is the cost that you are going to go into? Think of it as a condition. Think of it as some narrative hook that I can use against you for the next setup, and just make a note in the bio section at the bottom of what it is. Or you could reveal your greatest fear. There's a space down the bottom of the character keeper that says your greatest fear. If you're afraid of encountering, only include when the rules tell you to. So if you would like to either give me a condition that I can apply to you in the next episode, or declare your greatest fear, Veth, do you have a preference?
I do. I've already written my greatest fear, and my greatest fear is I'm scared of stormtroopers or others that are in dark armor. That armor I have whenever I was young, whenever the Empire took over my planet, these armored people are really scary. So it causes me to kind of freeze up and stuff.
Fine, that works for me. What about hang on just a second. Let's go next to Urto. So 2 dice plus your heart. So sorry, dice equal to 2 plus the number of your heart.
I just spent XP to raise my heart, so I'll be rolling 4. 6. That is 3 hits. Woo.
Spark was up by 3. It does not ceiling at what you started with. It can go above that, if that's a possibility. What about Katakat? What's his heart stat?
Well, his heart stat is a 2.
So you'd be rolling 4 dice. Any successes turns into a spark.
Okay, 2 successes. Yay.
And finally, Garik.
So we're rolling the exemplifying the light side part of the.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will roll 4 because I also raise my heart. Seems a strategic choice given the this is a chance to boost everything.
It's a one-shot, guys.
Yep. That's 2 POWs and 1 oof.
Fine. So there is some cost to you here. So spark goes up by 2, but that 1, what is the narrative issue that I'm going to, a condition, if you will, for want of a better word, that you'll carry into the next episode, or your greatest fear? And by default, my permission to introduce it.
Yeah, I think that the narrative issue is that only our Ugnaught has, we're going to need him to access. Like, he's physically going to have to be with us.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Rescue the Ugnaught, save the galaxy. Okay.
Bioscans or something, like something about him is going to be required for us to move forward.
Okay. And then you can either then I'm going to be each of you an opportunity to use one of those other possibilities. Fraternizing with a named NPC. So someone that has not yet recognized our named assassin, or someone spending some time with our labor organizer is a way to get spark back. Getting to know the other heroes is a way to get spark back. So you can frame a scene with another hero with the intention of using that, getting to know the other heroes. So let me go
clarify the fraternizing with an NPC. That bottom line is quite significant, Alan. They are now defined as a villainous agent of the Empire or Sith if they weren't one already.
Oh, did I forgot to say that? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, right. So there's who'd like to spend some time with the Ugnaught. But no, so frame a scene with somebody else, or frame a scene with the heroes in this kind of between episode downtime. Let me go back the other way and say, Garik, what's your preference?
I will spend a scene with the NPC, because we've only got one named NPC at the moment, right?
No, you've got two. You've got a surviving assassin.
Yeah, can I make another one up? Or
well, go on. Who have you got in mind?
Gam, the Jawa foreman of this wrecking yard.
Okay.
Who's been happily accepting a steady line of credits from the rebellion to maintain this. No one looks inside the cargo container. No one goes over here.
Okay.
And make the first delivery in person. You've been doing a great job here.
Okay. And it's always great fun playing the Jawa because you just go which you can interpret any which way you like. What is the nature of the conversation? Is it you're congratulating him on doing a good job, or what?
I know that times have been hard here on the planet for you and your clan. Here's a little extra credits for your trouble, but we're really going to need you to. We need people like you. We need people give Jawas a bad reputation, say you're just in it for the money and for the tech, but I know that you want to be free as well. And the work that we're doing here with you.
Oh, vigorous nodding.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Takes the credits. But it does say what valuable secret you give away.
Well, I think the valuable secret that I give away is, I'm going to say what they're doing in the droid factory. Like we wouldn't be able to put a stop to it without you.
I mean, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, go with that. Fine.
I mean, I don't know what other valuable
secret.
No.
That's a fair valuable secret. Yeah, that's okay. Good. Okay, and then it says he's now a villainous agent of the Empire, and you gain +4 spark.
So as Garik, and as Garik, the Jawa goes like, carries his little stack of credits back to his little shack where he's got like a TV and a hollow display and whatever, right? And he counts it up and then he goes, and then he leans over, picks for comlink, and you see as he presses the button, the hollow display turns to just the Imperial symbol on the screen, right?
Fine. I like that. Thank you. What about Katakat? Katakat, do you want to do a bit of refreshing of spark here? And I would remind you all, folks, of the killer one-liner. That's it. That's in the episode. If you're in the middle of the action, you throw a killer one-liner, you get the benefit. But Katakat, what are you thinking?
Time looking at the stuff. I think I'd like to get to know another hero. Wait, there's no terrible result of that, right?
No, they do not turn out to be a Sith in disguise. No.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Who do you want to frame a scene with?
I think a scene with Veth Oddriss would be interesting. We're huddled up in the safe house in the junkyard.
Or you could have it on the ship. I mean, they're reasonably contiguous, aren't they? So,
Sure, Veth, I ask you to come with me to make some repairs to the mysteriously damaged Screaming Billy. And I am trying to cobble together a long-range communicator dish and showing how things can, if you look at it the right way, we just solder this piece here and it should work. So, Veth, I understand you're a Jedi?
Well, I'm not sure what that means. I mean, no. I mean,
well, that's,
I'm just
in the readouts it says that you have powers of the Force, so you must be a Jedi then, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what
I've
that
seen
means.
the Hollows. I know how you guys work. Where's your lightsaber?
And she kind of says, well, I've only seen one of those, and that's, the general has that.
Oh, well, okay. Well, so what's the Force like?
I don't know. What's it like to breathe? I mean, who knows? I mean, to be honest, we sit around a lot and meditate and try not to fall asleep. And then sometimes we spar with each other. I mean, I don't know what it is.
Don't you think they should tell you then? Are they making you meditate on it to figure out what it is?
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is, but I'm not there yet. I mean, I think it takes years or lifetimes to figure that out, and I'm just not there yet.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping that maybe you could make this easier with the Force. So
Well,
this really needs to be fixed.
yeah.
Long range comms is very important.
Okay. So I think I'm going to get down and I'm going to start working on the comms and say, okay, I think this goes here, and I kind of put two pieces together, and I'm like, is this right? And maybe we solder a couple of things, and I put them in kind of backwards, and you have to kind of correct things and move it around and make sure, because if we put it in like it would only point in one direction. So we would have to move the whole ship to send a message.
So
Yeah.
I think that was encourage them to answer a probing or more intimate question. So I think that is worth 3 spark in total for Katakat for having got some. Maybe wasn't the answer that Katakat was looking for, but it is the answer that Katakat got, because you jumped straight to probing question. There was nothing routine about that. But Veth, there is an opportunity for you to come back at Katakat and ask something about about them. But I'll let you sit on that for a moment and cut back to you while I cut to Mark. Mark, do you want to have Urto have a scene with somebody?
Yeah, I think maybe a scene with Garik might be fun.
Okay. So where's this taking place?
I think we've maybe exited the junkyard and gone out for a drink.
Okay. Garik, you cool with that?
Both to both to talk, get a drink, but also to like see if there's anything around that he's looking at. And I think after I don't think I talk too much normally. And after a few attempts at conversation, I feel like maybe Garik is the one that brought me in to the operation. And I think Urto's still trying to get a handle on everything. And I think the question for Garik is just like, so what brought you into this? What's your motivation here? You seem like you have a lot of angles.
I grew up on the upper levels of Coruscant. So you must have been. I mean, I've read your file. I know that the Jedi down on the lower levels, and gives you a pointed look as he says that. But it's you're always standing on top of everybody beneath you. My family never understood that. And what's the Empire but a boot standing on the neck on top of everybody else, the entire galaxy? What motivates me is just people talk about the Force, they talk about the Republic. I'm just fighting for a better tomorrow. And
you're on the upper levels, standing on other people. What made you change your mind? It seems like you were in a pretty good position with your family.
Yeah, I was. But, it was easy when I didn't see any of it. But all it takes is a few trips down, especially when when the Empire started driving aliens and other non-humans further and further down level.
Mm.
I couldn't be part of that. I couldn't make money off that. I couldn't turn my eyes from that. And I know that, despite your past, Urto, you must feel the same way somewhere, or you wouldn't be here. There's always more credits working for the Empire than working for the Rebellion.
Yeah. To be fair, I didn't know it was for the Empire originally, but I didn't really stop once I did.
Yeah, you remember the Old Republic, what it became.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we can build something better.
Hopefully that won't turn to shit too.
I think that probing question about what brought you in here is worth 3 spark.
Cool.
Garik, do you want to come straight back to Urto? Because that was a conversation I think offered some possibilities.
You saw the Jedi. I've never seen one. I've never seen a lightsaber or they're just, in a few short years, they've become nothing but legends over time past. What were they like? What made it so easy for you to take them down?
They were fast, smart, strong, and here's the thing. I never took one down. I never cashed in any of those bounties. I had to make it up on the side. That's why I did it for so long, even after finding out who was hiring me. Just wanted to get one. It just never happened.
I guess Lord Vader snatched them out from beneath you every single time.
Sometimes they snatch themselves.
Well, I'm glad you're out of the business. Better.
And again, I'm inclined to say that's a 3 spark probing question. Veth, as we cut back to the ship before we move on to episode 2, is there a comeback you have for Katakat?
Yeah, I think as we're working on the ship itself, I'm going to, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about I remember my family, and my dad is in the control center. He's running some of the displays and giving reports. Well, tell me, what happened to your family? Are they a part of the rebellion too?
No. I mean they were. They were.
Yeah, I mean, did they get sent to a different base?
No. We I was raised in well, I spent most of my years on a flotilla, a bunch of ships all together, strung together like a community, and we took in some rebels. And then the Empire showed up and made examples out of people for harboring known terrorists. When they took my
Oh,
mother, my father said something, and so they took him, and I said nothing.
oh, my. That's why we had to move whenever I was a kid. Was the Empire came in, especially the stormtroopers, and I kind of give a little shiver. Ugh. sorry about that. Did they go to prison?
No, they were not afforded that mercy. They were made examples out of.
I think that's cut, isn't it?
So-
That's you can't follow that. 3 spark. Ooh. Brr. Okay, so let us go meta for a moment and go to episode 2. Where do we go next? I think I started with Stephen. So this time, let me start with Rich. What do you need to achieve in this episode that builds on what we got so far?
I'm looking at the 6 options here, which of course I could make up my own. I know. So again, Gam Zagno, the labor organizer at the factory, he was organizing people. Is that why we got him, or was there another reason why we needed?
He was organizing people, and that put him in the crosshairs for the Imperial, for the Empire. But now you've discovered that he knows. I think Garik has set us up, so he has to come with you. He's key to addressing whatever issue you're going to address. Now, that could be, I guess, inside the factory on this planet, or it could be somewhere else where those droids have been shipped.
I like the somewhere else where the droids are being shipped. So, something is at risk because of Imperial action. Save it. Is what
Save it.
kick us off
Okay.
with.
Okay, fine. What constitutes the most significant, though probably not the only threat? Let me go to Mark for that one.
Let's see that Sith adept.
We have to have a Sith adept, don't we? You know, I mean, what are we here for otherwise? Will, what's the principal? Oh, I asked you this question last time, so let me ask you a different question. Let me go to. I don't quite know how I've done that, but Stephen, where's the principal location?
Ooh, a mysterious ancient site.
Okay, a mysterious ancient site. Will, what's the local climate? What's the setting for this?
We've been on a hot mountainous sort of deserty type planet where there were only inhabitable places were up in the peaks. So now so we need to save something where the droids are being taken
Where
to
they've
a
been taken.
site. I think the local climate is let's have a look at you got a handy drop down list. I don't have to make it up on the spot. I think that it is I think it's tropical. I think that this is a like Halong Bay in Vietnam, lots of like blue oceans and these huge like rocks that that are lush with jungle and greenery all over it.
Okay, so that allows me to come to you, Mark, and say, what's the local terrain? If Will hasn't set you up too.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's go with I mean, I guess it's forest, right?
Yeah, we have to have a tropical rainforest, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
We're kind of bound into that. Okay. Let me go back to Will and say, tell us about a place you want to be part of the narrative. Now we know it's a mysterious ancient site, but do you want to shape that at all, or put something else in the vicinity? You know, I don't know. Pays a 160 choice.
It is an old battlefield between from the ancient Old Republic between the Sith Lords and the old Jedi. the kind of thing that you would find in the Dark Horse comic Tales of the Jedi.
Well, do you want to put a phrase or sentence down to help frame that for me?
Yeah, sure.
Then, Rich, tell us about someone you want to be part of the narrative. We know that we're going to have Gam Zagno along as somebody. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna. Okay. Feel free to X card this. I would like a character we might recognize from the original trilogy to be somewhat involved in the narrative. There, nice and wide open.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Oh, I mean, that's that. Wow. Okay, so anyone from the original trilogy?
Jar Jar it is. Yeah.
Oh no, original trilogy.
Yes. 4, 5, and 6, please. Oh my God, you bastard.
Yeah. No, okay, original. Ooh, right. Write something down there then. Someone from the original trilogy. Oh, okay.
Rich, you know for a fact that you know more about the original trilogies, like characters than Alan does, right? Like the side characters and stuff. Alan is probably going to know the core cast of them, right? And Mon Mothma maybe, Admiral Akbar.
I'm all good with that. If that's
fine. That's fine. No, you go with it.
Yeah.
Go. A cameo of someone from the original trilogy. Fine. Okay.
That way you could tie it in.
Okay.
We weren't first, but we were there.
And then Stephen, tell me somebody else that you want to be part of the narrative.
I think there's old machines and that kind of stuff that are littered around this area, and I think there's some B1 battle droids that they're trying to clean things up. They've been pieced together, so I think they're what's the right word? They've been repaired, but with pieces of different things.
Okay.
They're not pristine. Yeah.
Okay. So used battle droids. Or jury-rigged battle droids.
Patchwork battle
yes.
droids, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Right. So, who's left? Mark, I think I owe a question to. So, Mark, where does our episode 2 open? Are we aboard the ship, or are we on the planet, or what?
Yeah, I think we are working our way, like we are just emerging from the jungle, seeing the site.
In presumably those camouflage ponchos that we know and love. Okay. And I think as you emerge from the jungle, we'll get our first sight of this mysterious ancient site. Tell me something about this mysterious ancient site, Katakat. What does Katakat notice?
Oh, I think it's got a ziggurat type shape. But this was a former battleground, right? So there's just this huge rent in it, like a gaping hole. The sun leaks through, and there are all these vines that drip down, right? Because we did the tropical forest stuff. So there.
I like that. Okay. Will, it was your idea to make this an ancient battlefield, so we see the kind of physical damage to this. What else do we see here that gives some sense of this having been a battleground?
Well, there's they're littered with old war machines, ships and things like that. Some Mandalorian vessels from back when they were an empire.
Okay. And Veth, what emotion does this place raise in our sensitive Veth?
Whenever I first catch sight of the planet and I step out, it is elation. This is like a beach. It's like, this is fantastic. And then I start to see, like, it's almost like the camera pans over and you see an old war machine, but it looks like a skeleton because it's been deteriorated. And there's this ominous line, and then She looks up at the ziggurat, and the ziggurat looks like it might be folding in on itself from the damage and crumbling a little bit. And we hear that real deep bass note. You're like, oh, something here is rotten. Is that good?
It is. I suppose I was
Okay.
hoping that given that this was a battlefield in which ancient Jedi took on ancient Sith, there might be some Force echoes of some description.
And I think that's what we're hearing is, the corruption of, the battlefield of this beautiful place.
Then, if I can expand on that, as you're making your way through this dense forest, these overgrown war machines, what looks like a hill is a crashed great ship, overgrown, trees coming on it and through it. And Veth hears the crank of machinery, hears the shouts of people, the people who died on that ship. Just scary spirit presences. Okay. And then we do a screen wipe to an Imperial ship, one of those big bridges where we see, and somebody shouts up to the commanding officer, "Yes, sir, we have a fix on their destination. You were right." And he says, "You're sure?" Yes, it's the same ship that engaged our patrol. And he says, "Very well, pursue them." And we see them, the Star Destroyer looms over the top of the screen, and boom, it's gone. Here is our mysterious ancient site. It seems an odd place to have shipped a load of battle droids, or would-be battle droids, or droids ready to be made battle droids, not entirely certain which. Why have you had to bring our labor organizer, Garik? You put him as a weight on your shoulders. What is it that he knows or can do?
Because he's a labor organizer, but he is an expert. He's employed for a reason, right? He's not employed by the factory to be a labor organizer. He's employed by the factory to be an expert on ancient Republic droid systems.
Oh, right. Right. Okay. So, fine. So he's something of a whiz when it comes to
knows
droids.
The whatever botchy binary, whatever it is that the droids programming languages of it. He knows the old ways. Like a person today who understands C++ or BASIC.
I can't help feeling that there's an option here for a flashback if you want it, Katakat, because you appear to have some technical interests. Because I think he might have searched you out for a conversation, but you don't have to have it.
That's interesting. So he meaning the Ugnaught that we saved?
Yes.
Oh, that's wild. I love the idea of Gam Zagno communicating across open channels, but using this coded language that's embedded into other transmissions that we had carried on this conversation back and forth for many weeks before we finally oh, well, I'm with the rebellion. Oh, well, I'm here. Oh, well, I need this. Well, I need this. And maybe we grew close. We were like pen pals for a bit. And a little protective of our Ugnaught buddy, putting himself at risk.
Of course you are. So you've told me what form the fraternization takes. And you've told me the valuable secret you gave away, which is that you are with the rebellion. So you can have Force Spark.
Delightful. Wait a second, I've been tricked. No, he's going to the
don't let me throw you into that pit if you don't want to be thrown into that pit.
It's all good. That's a very clever hoisted on my own petard of being buddies with the enemy. Oh no.
So how are we going to get in? What are we going to do now? We've got this great kind of sweeping view that the camera takes in. Crashed war machines, ships overgrown, ziggurats and other exotic shaped structures, ancient structures, overgrown, some of them clearly toppled, some of them broken open. What are we going to do, guys? Who takes the lead? Urto, you strike
Urto
me
does.
as
Yeah.
point man,
Mhm.
kind of inevitably.
Yep.
So what do we see? Where do we see you leading the group? And
I think
our friendly pen pal.
yeah. I think I got some sort of tracking information from what's his name? From
Gam?
Gam. And I have like a little handheld like holography looking tracker thing that's kind of like leading us to the direction of the ziggurat, and just kind of pushing through there. And you're like, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to go in through that big hole there because that's the only way in right now.
Katakat, are there any signs of Imperial entanglements in the vicinity yet?
I think that they have set up a low grade sensors, one of those where you have to come in under, so walking around wildlife and the like, but any ships that traverse this area, they'll be well aware.
That's why you had to put the ship down in a valley or on a beach back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, beach.
Yeah, beach, because
beaches are good for ships. There's no problem.
Yeah.
That's the only sign of the Imperials, Veth. Do you get any sense of the Imperials that, in terms of people?
I think that we see movement from time to time, and I think these are the droids, the cobbled together droids that I think that have sort of maintained this area. And as we move further, I think she catches sight of something moving that isn't a droid. I think it's real easy to mistake, and it's sort of one of those things that whenever you're watching the movie, you see all these droids in the background and you're used to that, and then all of a sudden you see a person walk by in the background and you're like, what was that? So I think there's a little bit of a feeling of maybe there's someone else here, but they're being a little furtive.
Okay. I'm going to suggest we take our last break at this point. Back at 5 past the hour, because I work better in fives. See you then. Go. So we're back from our last commercial break in this pilot for a new series. And we have this grand sweep of a set. We've got crumbling buildings, overgrown jungle, we've got crashed war machines. And I just want to check with Stephen, these kind of pieced together droids, have they been caring for this location for the last millennium or so? Or have they been cobbled together now?
I think they've been cobbled together. It's sort of in between. They've been cobbled together probably for the last, I don't know, 50 years or so.
Okay.
I think that they're kind of trying to, they were like Clone War eras. They were trying to, their imperative was to go through and kind of repair things. So you'll see things where there's been a ship that's kind of been put back together, but it might not have any fuel or things like that.
Okay, so some of these war machines look as though they have been subject to some reconstruction or maybe an effort to strip them down and take interesting ancient technology to one side. Okay.
Yeah.
Katakat, you're our tech. What, if anything, are you doing as you approach this great ziggurat that Urto has told you he doesn't see an option but going in through that great big gouge in the side of that thing?
Yeah, I concur that that is the most obvious route, but not always the safest. And I have one of my little Imperial probe, like camera droids, those ones that are like, fist size, softball size things. And I got a little data pad, and this one's very low level droid. It doesn't even talk as much as give back readings. And I'm directing it with my data pad, like it's a, like a little iPad thing and a drone.
What do you want to know?
I primarily want to know, is it structurally sound? Is it going to fall out from under us?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's have you roll to determine how well you know that. So 2 to take action. You have the right tool for the job. This is tools or head. You take your pick.
I'm gonna go ahead. I have to interpret this stuff. This is seeing readings and making logical guesses.
4, but then you get the 2 for tech. And I think the difficulty here, how careful do you want to be that this little drone droid is not picked up? Because the closer it gets, the easier this gets.
Oh, sure.
But the greater the risk.
It looks Imperial. I'm not too worried about it. Why would I be sneaky? It's an Imperial thing.
Fine. So I think that the difficulty here is only 2.
Oh, goodness.
So
Question.
6 dice, 2 successes.
Question vis-a-vis Spark. There was a
Yes.
comment in the chat. I've hit max Spark. Is 12 the max Spark, or is that just as much as the drop down?
I think it's just become the max, because it
Okay.
is the max that the drop down
Perfectly fine.
contains.
Perfectly fine. I accept that. So 2 plus 2, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 dice, 2 diff. I'm gonna burn a spark and get myself up to 6. Wait. Crap. 7 dice. I have 7 dice.
7
Math
dice.
is not that hard. Okay, 1, 2, 3 successes, but an oof. I do lose a
Ooh.
spark in the doing.
Lose a spark. I'm going to tell you what the oof is, because I want to. And I think what we do is we cut to what appears to be some kind of Imperial control room, and someone is looking at the screen and saying, could you check the droid patrol routes for me? I seem to have a droid in the wrong place. I mean, it's one of ours, but why is it there? And then Garik, Urto has got you here. He's worked out the best way in. What's your advice on how you're gonna get in? Katakat has now got a pattern of their droid patrols, which they think has got an extra red blip in. How do you want to get into this thing? What are we going to see the team have to do?
I think the team is going to have to scale an overgrown, I think like a massive old wreck of a battle cruiser that's sort of forming like an artificial kind of like not mountain, but you know what I mean, like cliff basically. That's the droid patrols are having to go around this mountain, you know. But like if we can go straight over the top, then we can cut straight through their patrol line.
Or up the inside.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, clambering through, much like we see Ray do in Jakku.
You're ahead of me. You're ahead of me. So yeah, cut to inside this cavernous great space, where we see, I think probably, again, my inclination is to go for Urto and Veth here. Urto because you've got the hands and the feet, and Veth because you've got some hands and feet, but you're also the lightest person. So, you are the obvious person to get boosted up through this, this cruiser tipped on its side, so to speak. So you're having to go up lots of vertical and semi-vertical passages, Veth. What do we see you doing, Veth?
Yeah, so I think what we see Veth doing is it looks like taking more risks than should be done. And I think we've tossed a tactical rope up, and there's kind of a counterbalance where the rest of the crew are kind of pulling her up so she can secure the rope up to a higher location. And she gets up so far, and she starts to swing, and she swings back and forth, and we see that rail that the rope is looped around kind of start to pull.
Oh, let's roll the dice then.
Great.
Let's roll the dice, yeah.
Okay.
So this is 2. She is the naive youngster. She is the youngest and the lightest. So that's 3. I think this is feet for agility, unless you've got a better offer for me.
Yeah, feet sounds good. I was gonna say hands, but no, that's strength. Okay.
Yeah.
Feet.
And luck may come into this, so I'm going to give you that 7 dice.
Okay.
But I think the difficulty is 4.
Okay.
I'll throw in some spark. Throw in a spark.
Yeah, because
Urto
is taking the weight and saying, "Watch that spark! It's beginning to bend." How many spark? 1 spark?
Okay.
Just 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it 50.
And I'll use 1 as well.
Okay, so I think that's 9 dice. I think
that's right. So let's roll that.
4 successes.
Ooh.
4.
I see 4 successes and 3 oofs.
Oh my goodness me. So 3 spark, as I think some of that's got to be physical. What do we see happen that is clearly going to do you some harm, but not kill you? Like you're not going to fall down 50 feet.
I think so. She's swinging to get to a ledge, and she basically, as she swings, right in that last swing, the bar gives, and she slides. She hits the platform she was going to be on and lands safely, but on the other side is like a slope, and she slides down that, and we see the cable kind of like whip through everybody's hand until they grab a hold of it and stop her movement.
Fine. And then presumably you secure it, and the rest of the team clamber up. Yeah. I'm not going to make each of you roll for that. I mean, that strikes me as playing RuneQuest and climbing. So we see then the montage. What is the greatest obstacle, Katakat, that you have to overcome as we see the montage of you going up through this ship?
I think I'm concentrating too much on trying to go one-handed because I've still got the data pad and the probe, but I'm trying to keep eyes on, and there's just a point where I miss a particular ledge that Garik has pointed out to me, anticipating me missing it, and I start to slip.
Fine. Garik, what's the greatest challenge you face or overcome on your way up through this ship?
I think it is keeping our Ugnaught up with us,
because he's a little bloke, isn't he?
I think he manages quite well on like a lot of it, surprisingly well. But then there are points where like he just cannot reach the next handhold. He cannot get up,
And Urto, what do we see? Which challenge do we see you overcoming?
This is clearly the best and safest way because Gam told us it was. So making my way up on point, and I have to like tell people to stop because there was a booby trap set up. I don't want to raise my hand. There was a booby trap set up. There was like a what's the thing that makes the big boom in Star Wars?
Are you talking about a thermal detonator?
Thermal detonator, yeah. There's a tripwire attached to a thermal detonator.
Oh, wow,
right in the path of where we were.
Oh, so they were kind of aware this was a possible way in. Oh, wow. Right. So you
Yeah.
defuse that. And I
Yeah, and
think
I think that gives me like Gam said to go this way. I was like, ah,
and I think that, the bridge is slanting up. And so we see you clambering up the floor of the bridge to the windows that overlook this. And now you can see into that crack. And as you look down into this great space inside this ziggurat, you can see ranks and ranks and ranks of the droids that have been shipped here. And a number of stormtroopers, Veth. Some of whom are dressed in black armor, not the usual white. Dun, dun, dun. And then I'm thinking, because going down is always easier than going up. So I'm seeing you lowering yourself down to the crack in the ziggurat. Yeah. But as you get closer, you're conscious that there are a number of holes bored into the side of the ziggurat, which could give you some access without having to go all the way down there into this great parade ground full of droids. Katakat, you're getting a funny signal from your droid. It seems to be receiving a call in for maintenance.
Ooh, that's a delightful opportunity, I say, to no one in particular. I'll let it go, but I'll be riding on with it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. This is great.
And you see it, we see the view of it going down one of these boreholes, bored into the side, and it's clear that the Empire has hollowed out a great chunk of this ziggurat's surface into a hidden base. And at one point, it's looking round as it's heading down towards the maintenance bay, and you see a group of senior Imperial officers walking, and then having a kind of heated discussion, and then turning away. But it's being guided a different way. What do you do?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'll just
Do you
take
let it
right
go?
over. No, I'm not gonna. No, I really want to see what's going on. I will not let it go. I'm gonna take over and start to
Divert
follow.
it.
Yep.
Okay, okay. So I'm seeing all of you now inside this base. You're making your way quietly along, or as discreetly as you can. Garik, what does that look like? What are you doing to try and make sure you can get our Ugnaught to one of these droids or to a control room where he can do something?
I can't just be to one of the droids. I think that would be too, easy and not like cinematic enough, right? I think that there must be some sort of like control unit, perhaps, like a field installation of something with like an antenna and various panels and like temporary generators propped around it, and probably some Imperial tech standing around. And I think these droids are powered down at the moment, right?
They were certainly standing there still. No one, they were 150 feet below you on this great space.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So I think we pop open a hatch on the side of this derelict, inside of this bulkhead that it's all built with inside, right? And there's a shaft going down, and we're going to have to traverse inside the shaft, stay out of view from the main hangar. But the only way is to be through those droids.
Katakat, let's see the degree to which you are being able to follow these officers without being, sucked back towards maintenance, because somebody, an oof is going to be, that droid's behaving really strangely. So let's have you roll to keep control of this. So I think it's 2, always equipped, because this droid has been tweaked. Tool certainly is at play. It is absolutely technical, so you're at 8 with it before you start, but they are suspicious. I am looking for 5 successes.
Wow. I am gonna.
Indeed. Oof.
Indeed, lots of oof possibilities as I increase my dice, but I am going to increase. So I got 8. I'm going up to 10 dice by spending 2 spark.
Okay.
And boy, that's tense. That's tense stuff.
Because you can, on your panel, we're seeing, some slidey indicator moving from green full control to red override.
Let's do it. Okay. 10d6. Whoa, see, a very
Ooh.
bad roll. That is
Oh, wow.
horrible. Oh my God, that's a
That's
failure
one
with 2
hit on 10
moves.
dice.
Okay. And you see one thing before the feed cuts. And that is the officers are standing in a circle in a darkened room. And 2 people are speaking. One is someone dressed in dark armor, and somebody else is a senior Imperial officer that, if you describe them to Garik, Garik will recognize as Moff Tarkin.
Ooh.
And the argument goes something like Tarkin is saying, we do not have the resources for too many projects of this scale. And then the feed cuts. Garik.
Yeah, I described that to Garrick immediately. What? I see this guy and he looks like this, and
Moff Tarkin, head of the Empire's special projects. This could be.
I think so.
If we can take him, we could turn the war.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it's in the opposite direction from where you thought you'd need to go to get to the droid controls.
We got to be fast. Where Tarkin is, Vader isn't far behind usually.
Or you need to split up.
We should split the party.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's going after Tarkin?
Garrick's checking his blaster, like pulling out his grenades, and he's like, right, we're gonna need to split the team. And I look over at the Ugnaught. We need to get Gam Zagno to that control unit.
I can get Gam to the control unit.
So Urto and Gam.
The skinny old guy.
Is anyone going with Urto and Gam?
So whenever you, Katakat, whenever you described the guy, right? Did you describe anything else?
Guy in the armor. Yeah, there's a guy in armor, which means he's probably been, beat up pretty badly. That's why you wear armor.
Then I'm going with Urto and the Ugnaught. I'm like, guy in armor? No,
Yeah.
So,
oh right, yeah.
I think that Garik, powers his pistol, looks around at the rest of the other 2, and then looks at Veth and goes, "Veth, you go with Urto." Doesn't think that you've got it in you for an assassination job.
So it is Katakat and Garik after Moff Tarkin, and we have Urto, Veth escorting Gam to the robot control center. Okay, Garik, what are we seeing as you try to get to this conference room, for want of a better word?
I think when we were previously low crouching, slow kind of thing, right? I think this is the rushed kind of running at full speed and then slamming to a halt at the edge of a bulkhead and then leaping over as soon as we can. It is a rapid then through, and Garik grabbing hold of Katakat as he fiddles with a data pad or something, right? And
well, I was going to say, what's Katakat's contribution to getting to this place?
I think I'm basically opening doors.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I'm slicing and opening doors. Yeah.
Okay.
And going down the corridor as Katakat
let me have. I think Katakat, you're gonna. No, I think Garik needs to roll for this. this is about a stealthy approach. That sounds like Agent to me, with Katakat offering support. So, so Garik, let's see. 2 to take action. Can't see you talking your way through this, if I'm honest. It seems to me that this is feet or head.
Go with head.
So that's 5. But the sneaky agent works here. I think the difficulty is 4.
Okay.
And I'm looking at 7 die so far.
Okay. I will spend 2 of my spark, since I have full spark. Brings it up to 9. You know what? It's a one-shot. We're in the last hour. I'll spend 3 of my spark.
So that's 10 dice looking for 4 successes.
I just make right? 2 oofs, yeah.
Oh, 2 oofs. Okay, well, that could cost you some spark because Katakat, what's on the other side of that door that you wish wasn't there that's going to cause these oofs?
Oh, man. Other side of the door. Oh, screw it. I think it opens into a large hangar and we see an ATST walking across. There are a lot of people here. We are not dressed like Imperials.
Okay. So you've got, but you have to get to the other side of this hangar to get to that conference room, Garik. You're going to get there, but how does hell break loose as you make the dash across there?
I mean, I think that it is that we have to crawl. We're crawling along a conduit underneath, right? And the ATST goes and it crushes the conduit as we're going through, and like Garik gets buried in the rubble, and then as it moves off further down the bay, Katakat has to pull him out, like covered in dust and bruises and everything.
Veth and Urto, you're en route to the control center. How are you? Because I'm going to assume Urto is taking the lead here. How are you getting there? Is this slow and sneaky or fast and brisk and brutal?
I think this is more cautious. Yeah.
Okay. So let's have you roll, I think, against a difficulty again. I think a difficulty of 4. Because you're getting into the kind of the heart of this Imperial base. So 2 unstoppable force doesn't sound like that's relevant. No. Sounds like head or feet to make this sneaky.
If we're
head, pick your moment.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
That way it's I think we're like this is the tactical thing again, like waiting for patrols to go by, getting the timing right. Yeah.
And 5, and I think Bounty Hunter is going to count simply on the grounds that, you need to, this is a skill set that you need to get to your marks. Cool, do you want to spend any spark? And Veth, is there anything you think you could be doing that would aid this?
So I think I'm just trying to bring our Ugnaught friend along.
Fine. Yeah, I've just noticed you're on 4 spark, so you may not want...
Cool. I will spend 2 spark then. Bring it up to 9.
Remember that there are those ways to refresh spark that, so be aware of those. So that's 7 plus whatever you spent.
So roll 9.
9.
Looking for 4.
Looking for 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes and 1 oof.
1 oof. What's the nature of the oof? What costs you that spark?
I think it is Gam. When we're sneaking by, he accidentally trips over a pile of crates or whatever, knocks some tools off.
And we, the audience, thinks he's been pretty good on his feet so far.
Yeah.
That was a bit odd.
Him the stinkiest eye, just watch it move.
But the control center is over there. You've been following conduits and whatever else. It's over there. So I want you to be thinking about getting in and doing what needs to be doing. Garik and Katakat, you've come out of this conduit on the other side, and you're pretty confident that, are you going to drop into this conference room, come out of the floor, the walls, or will this take you to the door to the conference room? Garik?
What do you think, Rich? Which one should we go for? I kind of like the idea of the doors opening and us getting like the thing, but like the dropping in and like,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
dropping in has a very Mission Impossible, improbable kind of vibe that I like.
yeah. So I think it is, we're up above, and Katakat's got like his pad right, and it's showing like the layout of the conduit and where it should be compared to where the droid was, the feed. And it's down there, and it's like, right, okay.
And then, of course, you can't see through the grid of that you're going to kick open and drop through, but you hear...
You get open, I think. Like, it's...
Well, you can hear Tarkin saying, no, the Death Star is a much higher priority.
Yes, yeah. And then I'm just going to nod at Katakat, and I'm going to say, like, we take Death Star. I don't know, but we take Tarkin out. That'd be a big win for the Alliance. You with me?
Yes, let's do this.
Drop through, yeah? What's your first target, Garik, as you hit the ground?
Come up firing at the closest thing in Imperial uniform.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming you came to kill Tarkin, didn't you?
Came to kill Tarkin, yeah.
Yeah, fine. So let's see if you can kill Tarkin.
Oh, yeah.
Surprise is complete. You're only at 3 difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see how this goes. I think 2 for take action. This is I think hands or head, aim or,
Well, actually, I've only just realized this. Tools is using tools.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, maybe I would have actually improved that rather than heart if I'd realized that fighting was in tools with guns. But there we go.
Well, I mean, you could throw yourself at him.
With a vibro blade in my hand.
With a vibro blade in your hand.
Yes, oh, that's so bold.
Yeah.
So 2 for take action, 2 for hands.
And a vibro blade in the other.
And you go for him.
Covering, like spraying bullets as I go to blast the bullets.
Okay, and I think assassination's on the agent course, so that's 6 dice, I think.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend any spark on this?
I'll spend 1 spark.
1 spark. Before we roll these dice, Katakat, he hits the ground and goes in that direction. What do you do when you hit the ground immediately behind him?
Oh, Tarkin's speaking to other people.
Yes.
So my plan is clear the path, right? I'm going to fire wildly, mostly to get people to duck and get out of the way.
Fine.
And that's me spending a spark to
that's what I was wondering.
Garik. Yes.
Fine. So I think that's 7 dice plus anything you want to spend, Garik.
That's 8, including what I've spent. So.
Okay. So 8 dice. Difficulty's only 3, because I think surprise is complete here.
3 oofs.
No, you don't kill Grand Moff Tarkin.
I know, who would have thought?
Do you know why you don't kill him? Because it's a hologram. And you dive at him, go straight through him, and 1, 2, 3, 4 oofs as you kind of boom, straight into the wall behind him. Katakat, everyone else's head has gone down apart from whoever's got the armor on in there. So everybody else kind of goes flat. These officers, whatever, down. But the guy or whoever it is in the dark armor just steps back. What do you do?
I can't believe how lifelike that hollow was. I'm sorry I didn't catch it, Garik. We got to get out of here. And I'm trying to grab Garik and go for the doors.
So you need to get to the doors before the person in the armor. Meanwhile, Urto and Veth, you get to the control room. It's in there. There's lots of techs, just doing stuff. What's the approach going to be, Urto?
So our goal here is to shut it down.
Shut down whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Veth, do you want to pull any Jedi stuff?
Do I want to what? I'm sorry.
You want to pull any Jedi stuff?
You hear the general's voice, Veth. It says, Veth, believe in the Force.
And we're just trying to shut this thing down, right?
You are.
Yeah. I think now's a great time for, I think I turn to Gam and I'm like, you're up. And I think their job is like to go in and mess
Do
with the
stuff.
controls, right?
Yeah.
And shut things down. Yeah. And I think that's what we see on screen. Do you want to narrate what happens?
I do, because we see him, and Urto is there, ready to take down anyone who turns round.
Yep.
And he goes down to a panel and he stands up and says, arrest them, and hits a big red button. Alarms go off across the base.
Yeah.
What do you do, Urto, in response to that?
Like I fucking knew it. Start shooting, I guess. Yep, that's.
Who's your principal target?
I think. So what is Veth doing right now?
Well,
I want to make sure that
Veth. Go ahead.
No. What is Veth doing? It's a good question.
Veth saw him punch the button and I think literally screamed and then shoved him out of the way and started, opens a panel and starts working on the console there.
Yeah, okay. So I think I'm just cover firing so Veth can keep working.
Fine. So Veth, let's have you see. I think difficulty is high here. The techs have got their heads down, but Gam is going to wrestle you away from that panel. So difficulty is 5. 2 for take action. You are the naive youngster. You haven't got a chance, but you still try. That gives you 1. I think that this is head to work it out or tools to use this panel. What's your choice?
I think it's going to be head because
or
I'm going
actually
to look for
even hands to stave him off.
I think this is going to be head because I'm going to look for different ways to deal with this.
Okay. And we know that the Force thing is a luck. Is this cut the red wire or cut the blue wire? Another 2 for Force Adept. So that is 4. That is 8 dice. I'm looking for 5 successes.
Yeah, I think this is. Let's see what happens here.
I think I'm going to spend.
Yeah, I was going to say, Urto, you got any? Does this covering fire help?
Yeah, you're going to spend 2.
Yes.
Okay. So how many is that altogether?
That's 10. Looking for 5.
That's 10.
I'll throw in 2 more.
Oh, 12. Looking for 5.
Okay.
Wow, so many dice.
1, 2, 3. 3 successes.
Oh,
no. And 2 oofs.
2 oofs.
Yep.
Gam drags you away and throws you against the wall, Veth, because though he's shorter than you are, built like a whiff of air, and he's quite a short, stocky, powerful bloke, and he throws you across the room. We cut back to Katakat and Garik. Katakat is dragging you towards the door. Do you get there before? Now, Katakat, I think this is probably down to you in the first instance to get him away. This sounds like feet, because I don't think you've got time to talk to him. I'm thinking feet, unless you've got an argument to go a different way.
Feet feels right. Yes, no argument there.
2 to take action, 3 for feet. Is there any way your equipment plays in here?
I've got jet boots.
Oh, straight up through the entrance you came in.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yes.
I can't slice the door, so we're just going up.
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
And that is a technical solution. I'm going to use 8 dice, 4 difficulty to do something before the person in the armor acts.
Oh, goodness. I do not want that person to act. I am going to spend 1 spark to boost myself to 9 dice. And we're going to see how this goes. 9 dice. Extraction. Oh, wow. That's terrible. But maybe okay. 4 successes, 2 oofs. Yeah, I think
Two
my angle's
oofs.
off. I think my angle's off, and I'm like, bonk.
Can I suggest a second oof?
Yes.
Yeah, you do go up. The angle is off, which is good because you missed the strut in the
No.
in the duct above, and instead hit a weak point in it, and you burst up through the floor of the hangar,
That's amazing.
the previously described hangar. Veth, what are you going to do? You are
I think I'm
down.
yeah.
Now, what that means is down. You cannot do anything awesome until Spark is refreshed. So your force is exhausted currently. So you're down to mundane means.
I think, we see Veth gets, pushed out of the way by Gam, and I'm kind of dazed, and I shake my head a little bit, and then jump back at, I think you see Gam and Veth kind of wrestling on the ground, going back and forth and seeing who's going to get on top, and yeah.
Okay, so I think that this now becomes a physical struggle. So this is two to take action. I'm not sure Naive Youngster plays here, but I think hands do. So 4.
Yes.
Force is off the table. Now, I will remind you that there is a rule that says, exactly, if you do something nice for someone, go out of your way to help someone in a scene, and you guarantee 1 spark if they're an enemy. So you could seek to save Gam in some way here, if you wanted to set the scene up that way and get a spark back.
Or deliver a one-liner.
Or deliver a one-liner.
Yeah. So I like the idea of she's fighting, but not fighting to hurt, and ends up stuffing him in a nearby locker.
Let's have you roll to take action plus heart. So 2 plus your heart score.
Oh. So that is 5. Okay.
5 dice. Just roll 5 dice looking for powers.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is 5 and no oofs. It goes up, spark increases by 5, but because they are a known villain, you get +1 spark, whatever the result. So that's 6 spark from that, and Gam is stuffed in there.
Okay.
But that does mean, Urto, that security's on its way.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be coming at you behind. The techs are still taking cover. What are you going to do, Urto? Because the technical solution seems to have gone out the window.
Great. I will run over to where Veth is.
Yeah.
Make sure they're okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we see a cut with some blood kind of coming down, but that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, get the others, get out of here. I'll catch up as soon as I can. And run over to the console.
Okay. Veth, get to the others.
And as Veth taking off.
So Veth takes off kind of like a monkey among the, back kind of direction they came, but taking a little bit acrobatic,
Yeah.
I cover while you go. And when Veth leaves, Urto pulls out the detonator from the booby trap and sets it on the console.
Ooh. Do you let Garik and Katakat, because we have perfect comms, don't we? So is there a kind of I've set a charge, get out, or
yeah. It's like
okay.
The easy way didn't work. We're gonna have to do it the hard way. Get to the ship, listen for a boom.
Katakat, you grabbed Garik and went straight through the roof into the hangar. What do you do, Katakat? Now that because you're. What's the plan?
I'm gonna see if I can angle us towards the ship. We got to get out of here fast.
And because it's a hangar, there are of course a route out to the ground out there. So I think probably there's a great big opening in the side of this ziggurat.
Way better. TIE fighters don't have shields. They're really not worth it. I'm narrating this to Garik. In my head I am, but I think I took a big. So maybe I'm just mumbling, and Garik has no idea what I'm saying.
I think that you're saying all of that, but no one can hear anything over the sound of your jet boots and the wind as we
Exactly.
spin wheel around and around and around and around.
So, I'm now seeing you dodging between trees, carrying, Garik, with 2 speeder bikes behind you. The question now becomes, can you steer this thing back to the ship, Katakat, and meet Veth there, and hopefully Urto?
And I indeed.
So I think difficulty here, I'm going to make the difficulty 3 because I can't have you crash into a tree at this point. So I think difficulty is 3. Take action 2. You are always equipped. Those jet boots are cool. And I think take your pick, really, tools or feet to avoid the trees.
I'm gonna choose feet. It feels more appropriate, and it's a tech solution. So I'm up to 8 dice, right?
You are.
And I will throw you 2 spark.
How does that look? How are you helping avoid the trees, Garik?
I think it's not so much avoiding the trees as there's a point where one of the speeder bikes pulls alongside, and one of the stormtroopers reaches out and grabs hold of Katakat as we're going, and Garik just sort of twists and then fires straight into the faceplate, spinning and flying back.
Oh man,
Against
this
the
is
tree.
terrifying.
So Katakat, roll the dice. You've got 2 from Garik.
It's difficulty 3.
Difficulty is 3.
I need 1 more dice. Oh, this is so oofy painful. That is way successful. 1, 2, 3,
yes.
4, 5, and many oofs.
Oofs.
4 oofs.
I'm
out.
Yeah, I think you've got enough about you to lower the ramp on the ship, but otherwise it's kind of bang into the bulkhead wall and down in a heap as Garik rolls away. Veth, you've taken this zigzaggy route out towards the ship. What does that look like? Climbing up things, dropping down things. Sounds pretty featy to me.
Yeah. That sounds good.
I'm going to make the difficulty 3 to evade the patrols because they're all heading in the other direction, of course. They're heading towards Urto. So difficulty is 3.
2. I don't see naive youngster fitting into this, but feet does.
Yeah, so that's 4.
And
you're lucky.
I think force. Yeah, so I think that's 6.
Yeah.
And let's spend I'm going to spend 2 spark to give that 8.
8 versus 3.
Yeah.
Roll them bones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And no oofs.
What this looks like, actually, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see all of these different. I come up and I see this area where scout troopers, are jumping on the back of speeders, and I jump on the back of one of the speeders and take off with them. So I'm kind of trailing them, and as they go around a corner, probably pursuing Katakat and Garik, I turn the other way.
Fine. Works for me. Urto, the question now becomes, is it more important that those charges go off or that you escape?
Charges go off.
Okay.
I'm still going to try to escape, but
of course you are.
Yeah.
So, Katakat, what I'm seeing is you getting the ship up and going towards the ziggurat because you need to go get Urto. Urto, let's see if you escape the blast. Yeah. I think that this is probably about feet.
Tools.
Yeah, I go with tools. Tools.
Same number either way.
Yeah. So 2 to make. You're an unstoppable force in all circumstances. Feet give you another 2. That's 5. I'm going to make difficulty 3 to be consistent.
I don't know if unstoppable force counts on this one. I think that's more about
I don't know. you
doing a
know,
bunch of stuff.
it's having balls, isn't it? It's about, you know.
I'm gonna spend all my sparks, so I'll be rolling 8 dice either way.
Okay. So go ahead, roll 8 dice, look for 3.
Yeah. That's 8d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 oof.
1 oof.
This takes me down. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that we see you running, you know, down this corridor, and there's a behind you, and of course the wall of flame is just funneling down all these corridors. And as is inevitable at this point, you're not on the ground floor. So we see you running towards this thing and then out into space.
Make a jump.
Explosion behind you. And the oof is when you land in the open cargo hold of Katakat's ship as it skims round just in time to swallow you. And out it goes. Now, of course, there would be a chase with a Star Destroyer at this point. But as I look at the clock, we are with 7 minutes to go. So I think we'll epilogue our way from this, yeah? Katakat, how do you avoid the Star Destroyer that appears in orbit at this point? What do we see?
We just appears in orbit, and that is tough. So what I do is head out, and I just blind while in Atmo, no Navicomputer, plot a course to hyperspace before they can get everything up. I'm not sure where we're going to end up.
Exactly.
I tell nobody. I'm not sure where we're going to end up, but it won't be here.
And then off we go. Garik, what have you saved? Because the whole point of this exercise was to save something. What is it that you've saved? What have you stopped happening as in the debrief?
I think that what we've saved is the Boffin Spynet, which was built upon infrastructure from the days of the Ancient Republic, and therefore, if these droids, they managed to hook up these old droids and everything into it, they would have been able to infiltrate it. Many Boffins won't die today.
Fewer Boffins died for this
time.
Some Boffins will die, not many. Yeah.
Urto, what's the epilogue for Urto?
We didn't see who was in that dark armor, did we?
We didn't.
I think I'm pretty banged up. I'm in the I'm recovering on the ship, and I've got one of my old pucks and hit it, and there's a hollow that comes up, and I wanted to be the face of whoever was under that. I'm going to ask you who that was.
And it says, well done, Urto. We could not afford the resources to be turned away from our hard work. Rendezvous with my ship as soon as you can. Tarkin out.
Oh, I was implying that my next target was going to be whoever was in that armor.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I entirely misunderstood that.
Yeah.
No, I think that we see the armor come up, and it is the Sith adept who never got to do anything because the escape was too wild with rocket boots.
I'm like, I was never able to get a Jedi, but I can get a Sith. So here we go.
Veth, what's Veth's epilogue?
I think Veth is back on base, back on the Rebel base, and she's been training off and on again over the weeks, trying to get better because that last mission was a mess. Everybody went down, everybody was hurt, and she's bounced back with the vigor of youth. But I think during one of the training sessions, the general's been pulled away, and she slips. She follows them to try and find out more information, and overhears, that the mission that we went on didn't completely destroy all of the droids, didn't completely destroy all the plans, that it just pushed it behind. And they called it Phase Zero of the Dark Troopers or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what that means. It just sounds like more armor. And she kind of shivers a little bit and shies away.
Thank you. That is our game. Thank you very much. If we've got like 2 minutes for a quick stars and well, wishes hardly apply, do they? But if you've got any thorns to throw, that's fine. So let me go in order. Will, any stars?
Yeah, I mean, I loved our little Dirty Dozen style team of commandos. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the generating things on the fly that we do in every one of your games, Alan. It's always fun to see what shapes up.
Yeah, it's pure laziness on my part. Mark, any stars?
Yeah,
And any roses, any thorns, I should say.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed everyone's character and the way they interacted. This was very brisk, which was really, really fun to see. Much different pace than a lot of the stuff I've been playing lately. So it was a good switch up to get to the action. Yeah, it was kind of a great time all around.
Good. Yeah, it's a roller coaster. Stephen, can I come to you? Any roses, any thorns?
Sure, certainly. It's similar to what Mark said, which is, this is like the epitome of a one shot. It's the ability to jump in media res was beautiful. Getting through stuff, character creation's very fast, and it's very action oriented. Get to the next thing, and I think you kept that on pace. You did a very, very good job of saying this is how we're going to start. Break on the hour. Now it's time to be done. Everything. That's one of the hardest things to do is not just provide a satisfying story, but also make it fit within the allotted time. The characters were all very good. I liked seeing some of the old characters come back. I liked seeing, everybody kind of jumped into the pulpy kind of feel of this, Star Wars thing. And that was great to see on screen. I have jet boots and I'm going to fly away, or I'm going to throw out the bomb and then jump out as the explosion is behind me, and that's just fantastic.
Rich, any roses, any thorns?
I'm trying to think of thorns because Alan, if you're anything like me, you like a few thorns. And so I'll go. Damn, this has to be a one shot. I love this crew. I'd love to see more adventures there. That's my thorn. It's cheap and it's easy. So I love roses. I love the structure of the episodes. The tweaks that you made to the system are very interesting and a lot more tense. Oh, here's a thorn. You didn't explain that we should be drawing down sparks, and Stephen pointed it out in chat. That was like we were narrative, and I didn't realize. Oh yeah, and I'm also losing spark. There, that's it. That's the only thorn.
Yeah, because tension is always in play. Yes,
tension is always in play. Is crazy. That is very pulp. Yeah, I really enjoyed the episode structure and the collaborative world building stuff. I've seen it in some of your other designs. I love seeing it ported here. I thought that was brilliant, and a brilliant way to give us things to hang off of so that we weren't just out in space. And I love that you had D6, oh, I don't know what, just roll a D6 and choose one if you are really stuck. It's great. It's great. Thank you, Will, for bringing Garik back in. That was very exciting to see a prequel Garik. It was very Andorish, and also, Alan, thank you for not letting us actually kill Tarkin. That would have broke my brain just a little bit. It was very clever. It was very clever. Mark Urto is making a big sacrifice, but not really. It was very Star Wars. And Stephen, I really enjoyed the conversation between Veth and Katakat about the Force and how clueless she was. Boy, she's really bad at Jediing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if I had an epilogue, there would have been a conversation that involved Luke Skywalker saying, with Leia saying, "We have this prospect, but she needs a lot of work." I'm going to stop the recording there, folks. So wave bye-bye to the internet.